we actually have work to do as well to help get things done or make things even better. And I think to stop halfway is to only get the most mediocre results you can get.
Let's go, yeah. I came up through these streets, now who's running the show? Me. Ha ha, he, yeah. We topping the bill now, stacking the bills now, stacking them.
Well, look, I cannot tell you how glad I am to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You got 4 Grammy nominations, amazing albums and all that kind of stuff. You know, I have my show on CNN. It's called The Van Jones Show. That's Van Jones at work.
Okay.
This is Van Jones after work,
after
where we
work.
can have a real conversation for real.
Yeah, the realness.
And, you know, because of your position in Chicago, being such a voice of Chicago, such a symbol of Chicago, people use Chicago as almost like a punching bag now, as opposed to a place that could use some help and some support. Help us understand as we get ready for this vote, this election coming up in November. Are people dialed in now? Are they ready to vote? Is voting off the radar screen? People said folks were going to vote in 2016, nobody voted. So where are we now?
I think that's one of the reasons why I'm here, to awaken the people, to remind them that I'm a bridge to that understanding, that I walk in that light, and that I think it's not just important for older people, but for a younger generation to really understand the importance of voting, I think is very necessary.
Well, you know, usually we like try to beat up the young people and be like, well, Dr. King died for you to vote, go vote. And it doesn't seem like to work. What would actually be said to young people today to get them to actually want to vote and want to take all those steps and responsibility?
One of the things of the youth even understanding the importance of voting is to really understand how problems are fixed, how we actually use our voice besides social media, because that's not really voting. We're only talking amongst each other still. To actually get out and vote is to use your voice to the highest capacity. And I think that's what they really need to understand.
What kind of problems need fixing for this new generation?
I think honestly, and this question the answer could probably be 30 minutes for this.
We got all the time you want, dog.
I think, I just really believe the youth didn't start the problems that we're dealing with. There's generations before us that we saw things and we do what we saw, and some things we do what we think is best without, with absence of help or just someone to talk to.
When people think about Chicago, they think about 2 things. They think about young black men killing each other and young black men getting killed and beat up by the police. Which of those issues do you think is the most important?
I think both of them are very important. Chicago has never been set up for us to have the best outcome. I grew up in a neighborhood where we're supposed to go to the closest grocery store. We're supposed to go to the closest mall. We're supposed to buy everything within this same small confinement. I was blessed enough for my mom to have a job outside of my neighborhood, to know that this grocery store had chicken less of a smaller price than this, so we would go way back to that grocery store and buy. But I didn't meet a kid outside of my race, my age, until I really came to California.
That's how Chicago is. That's segregated.
Yeah, I think to go to school with Filipino kids, with Mexican kids, with all races, and be able to communicate in the most solid, being yourself type of way. I think that's not a given coming from my city. So for me to have that, even when I come to Los Angeles and I conduct business myself, I think it's a plus, and it's only a blessing because I know how to be myself without taking other people, selves from them. I know how to continue to be myself and blend in and make an impact. But my city doesn't teach you that. My city is not the type of city where, put it like this, in my neighborhood, if anybody from any other descent came, you was there to fix the cable or lock us up. So to see you, everybody antennas is up. It's everybody stop what they're doing to see anybody outside of our race in our neighborhood. To not know is to not do. To not be aware is to almost not be held accountable. And that's another reason why I'm here as well, to make sure people understand what we should be accountable for, because it's not just a person with the gun, it's not just a person that receives the bullet, but it's the music they hear before, it's the conversations that they hear from their elders. It's so many things that play a part in this.
Well, but let's talk about that, because probably a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump had the same experience.
Oh, yeah.
They're in their rural community, their small town or whatever. They only see people who look like them. And if they saw me or you coming through, their antennas would go up.
Yeah.
But then we get mad at them and call them racist and bigots for how they vote. Do you have more sympathy for folks like that because you grew up in an insular environment, or are you more frustrated with them for not breaking out?
I think it's happened before Trump. I've gotten on the elevator before Trump was in office and, you know, a Caucasian lady clutched her purse, you know? So Trump ain't awakened this. I think what he has done is he's given people a stage that has always had this feeling inside. They can actually speak it and feel fearless about it. I think that's one of the main things that I've discovered, that he's kind of built up the audacity of racism, and I think, cool, that means we all have to confront it now. Now we can't ignore it. So if this is the time, what's up?
Well, I mean, there's so many different ways to make a difference. You're doing it with your art. I say people vote every day. You vote with your dollars, you vote with your time, what you click on, what you share. But when it comes to voting with ballots, it seems like a lot of times young black folks, unless it's Barack Obama, don't show up. Why is that?
I don't think the importance is expressed as it should. The understanding
not there.
I think totally that. One thing I've learned about being a young black man in America is very few things that have grabbed our attention to make us want to learn. And it takes something close to home to wake us up most of the time, and I think that shouldn't have to be the case at all times, because coming that close to home, you can possibly lose something in the process of trying to get somewhere. We definitely have to give up something, but you may not have to give up that particular thing if our awareness is up a little faster.
When you say somebody has to give something up, like what's in your mind when you said that?
I think for everything that we want in such a detrimental way, something that we need, it's always something. I mean, to get a six-pack, you gotta lose weight, right? I think in every aspect, you have to give something up.
Is that what's wrong? I can't just buy all the stuff off of cause I'll be in the hotel.
I mean, you could, but
I buy everything that comes in my house, and I still got no six-pack. You gotta do the work.
Yeah, they'll bring you a six-pack, you go to Miami, and they'll get you right, but you keep eating the way you're eating, you'll be back seeing that doctor, or you'll have a worse problem. To face it head on is to actually, you know, really address the thing the correct way. I've begun to learn that even through business, to have those uncomfortable conversations, get everybody in a more sharper shape. The pain in working out is kind of what I kind of fell in love with.
The what?
The pain in working out. Most people get caught up in the results. You don't see results when you immediately start working out. I fall in love with the burn and the pain, and that's what drives me. Coming from where I come from, you have to find ways to press through. You have to find ways to understand what will never leave, which is life. Life evolves around you, with you, or without you. And those things kind of keep me embraced and like kind of braced for life. I've seen a lot of things, man. I've seen some things I thought I would never see.
Like what?
Just even in Chicago. The first time I've actually saw a gun outside of my dad's security business. When I was in elementary school, we call it grammar school, you know. No more than about third grade. I began to look across the street and I see this guy just stretch out a revolver. The guy turns around and see the gun being pointed at him, and he runs through the alley. I'm so stunned, I don't even move. I just stop and watch the whole thing like a movie. One of my best friends, Marcus, he snatched my backpack to the point where I went where the backpack went, like, let's go. That was the first time I ever seen that. So I was like, so like blown by what I saw. I didn't move.
They were shooting?
Yeah. Across the street from my elementary school, and I'm in like the third, fourth grade at the time. So it's like, it's something that would never leave my head, even as an adult living in California now. I don't forget moments like that.
Right.
I don't forget moments where other guys from a different block in the same neighborhood would come and shoot at guys from my block, or the vice versa, you know? I've seen so many things to the point where it let me know when you have an opportunity, when you have a real opportunity, you better be ready. Because I really feel like everybody have a chance to get on that stage. Are you ready? Are your shoes tied? Are your glasses on, you know? Are you ready? And I felt it teaches them how to handle it. It's always something you don't want to have a conversation about, but 9 times out of 10, that's what you really probably need to talk about. That's probably the medicine. Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably true about America, and now we can't avoid the conversation. You know, African-American women have been outperforming and outvoting pretty much everybody.
Yeah, they've been kicking our tail. They've been kicking our tail.
Yeah, why is that? Why is this so much more?
I don't know, but I love it. I love seeing the strength of what supports me, and the world gets to see it as well. So many times we just get to see it in the household or in our daily lives, but for the world to see the strength of a black woman, I think is so important. That's our support system, you know? That's the thing that keeps us going.
Yeah. And do you feel like are brothers now being more supportive, so it could be like a mutual support system, or that's still something that we got to get beat upside the head about?
I ain't gonna lie, man. If you don't get with the train runs you over. That's just how it goes. You cannot outbeat a train. You can't get in the way of what God's plan is, bro. It's just impossible. Mm-hmm. I've never tried, and I've seen people try it, and I don't want what happens to them. You know, I think it should encourage us. It should remind us of who we are as men. Mm-hmm. I think everything is perspective, you know? I think it's a beautiful thing for me, man. So salute to all the black women that's kicking tail right now. I love it. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. It broke my heart when I found out that Aretha Franklin passed away. It broke my heart. It broke my heart so, like, to pieces, because I understand the importance of her to who we are as a race, to who we are as a people. Let's just think about this. Before we knew who a man named Martin Luther King was, there was this lady named Aretha Franklin that sang good enough. So when we found Martin Luther King, he called her because she already existed. Exactly. Her voice is our voice. I think that's why she sings so unapologetically. I think that's why what she left us is still so powerful. And it broke my heart because I realized the being isn't here. What she left is important. But another thing that kind of remind me is, you know, you was the child, now you're the uncle, now you're the father.
That's right.
The generation has passed, you know.
And what she was to Martin, in some ways, you became to Obama.
I would love to continue to be for this generation.
Because when he was walking out the door, he came and asked you to sing. What?
Yes.
Talk to me about that, being a kid from Chicago, suddenly you're singing the first black president out.
Wow. If somebody would have told me that when I was sitting at that dining room table, drawing my imagination and doing my homework at the same time, I would have lost the bet. Man, when God does what he do, bro, it's insane.
You got a chance to meet him, shake his hand?
Yeah, I got a chance to meet him, shake his hand, sing for him, represent our people, all in my hometown. Most people that went to the White House that were my friends, they didn't get the chance to perform. They didn't get a chance to actually help represent. They got a chance to help celebrate. I got a chance to do both. That was one moment in my life I will never, ever forget. Ever forget.
Last couple of questions, you know, as you think about that, like the need to be prepared, and the fact that there really is a new generation that's coming. I mean, I turned 50 this year.
Yeah.
You know, I was born, you're talking about Dr. King, I was born the year that Dr. King was killed, 68.
Wow.
You know, it's a crazy thing to look at somebody your age. Dr. King was like in his early 30s at the March on Washington. People act like he was 97 years old.
That's what amazes me.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. King was shot in the head at 39. He never saw 40.
Yeah.
So he was like a young cat basically freestyling at the March on Washington, because the best part of that speech wasn't written down. The first part of the speech wasn't, I have a dream, it was, I have a nightmare. You know what I mean? He's talking about police brutality and all this stuff. A committee wrote that.
Wow.
While he was negotiating with the Kennedys, a committee wrote his speech for him. So he read the speech, and it's basically, I have a nightmare speech. And another sister, Mahalia Jackson, was standing behind him. She heard him try to give a speech earlier in Detroit, earlier that summer, and she said, she's thinking to herself, that was a better speech, dog. So right when he's about to wrap up this terrible speech, talk about sister saving us, she said, tell him about your dream, Martin. And if you watch, he pushes the paper aside and looks up at the sky. And everything that you heard about I have a dream, deeply rooted, that was all a freestyle.
Jesus Christ.
That was a young cat your age freestyling on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. There's a young generation that knows that we need to take more responsibility politically.
For sure.
And there's somebody listening to this podcast right now that knows they need to step up and be a leader, register to vote, get their friends to register to vote, vote, and then go on beyond voting and keep these politicians doing what needs to be done, but they're not doing it. What can you confirm in that person before we go?
The young black America that have children. Just think about that. You're not by yourself anymore. You're not representing yourself anymore. You're not just setting up your life anymore. So to really think about your child's future and your child having children, what effort can you do now to help the progression of that? I'll leave it there. Like, what can you do that?
Everybody's been watching your rise for a very long time, appreciating the integrity. And you're speaking to a generation. I want to speak for the older generation, everybody else. You are exactly what we need right now.
Thank you.
And keep doing what you're doing. Keep fighting for what you're fighting, and keep fighting the way that you're fighting. I think the one thing that I just want to applaud you for and salute you for is that you've gotten opportunities and you've always done the right thing.
Thank you.
And I think the right thing for the rest of us to do is to honor and support our artists, because artists like you are honoring and supporting us. So thank you, brother.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. All right, appreciate you.
What's up, y'all? My name is BJ the Chicago Kid, and I have a serious challenge for you for November 6th. Get out and vote.